Okay, what's going on, everybody? This is the Collective Gamescast, Episode 1, Rehearsal. Uh, I'm your host, the Malgadar. With me, I got my buddy Chris. What's going on, Chris?
What's going on, guys?
Uh, okay, so what have you been up to, man?
Not much, playing a few games here and there. It's about it. Got a little Metal Gear Solid in. Been having a craving for a little Madden, so I had to download the old school Madden '08 for PC because EA just doesn't like PC games. But other
Wait,
than that,
they don't make Madden for PC anymore?
no, they haven't made one since 2008. We've been sitting there
Oh,
just modding and modding and modding until we actually get one. But I mean, I
wow.
could just turn on the Xbox, but that's over there. It's not right here. Requires more movement.
Wow.
Yep. But the modding community is huge. They have updated rosters, updated jersey stadiums. It's all pretty nice.
Wow, that's pretty impressive. I mean, I figured they'd have the rosters, but having the stadiums,
Yeah,
that's some serious work.
they've upgraded textures and everything. It's pretty legit.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
The community's awesome for stuff like that.
It's crazy.
I was just looking around earlier. There's a fan project like Final Fantasy VIII Part 2 that people have been putting together.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I had never even heard of it. I just stumbled upon it, and I was like, whoa, like Final Fantasy VIII. Like, a lot of people hate that game. A lot of people love that game. So to think that the people who loved it are actually like going out and making a sequel, pretty awesome.
That is pretty legit. The modding community in general it's huge. It's amazing how these guys don't have actual jobs in gaming or anything, but they do well. Especially Skyrim and the Fallout mods are just insane. I just watched one where these guys all they did was just upgrade the textures and it looked amazing. I mean, you still got the crappy Bethesda battle mechanic, but other than that, it's pretty damn good.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. This is one like turn the games have taken that I never could have envisioned. Like to give the community that kind of control and like it's just awesome. It's all good stuff.
It's crazy. I don't even remember like I'm thinking back to like the older generations where it's Xbox, PlayStation before I even got to PC gaming. No, no one would ever think about modding anything. It was pretty much just, oh, I can add custom music to my game. Well, that's cool. And now it's like, oh, I can add random characters. It is a Dragon Ball Z mod for Skyrim. You really don't need that. Someone's done it. It's nice. Just
Well, I was just thinking, like, what is Skyrim without exploding chickens? I mean, it's a pretty bland place, right?
yeah. Or mud crabs with top hats and monocles. Like you need that. You definitely need that.
I would say so. I mean, look, if every person's been shot in the knee with an arrow, then I need mud crabs with monocles. It's just how it's going to go.
I agree.
Okay, so we have already completely derailed and sidetracked way away from where we were planning to go, which is perfect because that's exactly what I wanted to have happen.
There we go.
But I like how you said a little Metal Gear Solid 5, too.
Oh, that might have been an understatement. It's just
no such thing. Yeah, I've had mine on all day just so my damn resources team can break down my fuel. Like,
oh man, that reminds me. Like back in the day, I used to play old sim games. Like I'm huge on like simulation games like that. It was Sim City, and I'd play it on PlayStation if I was like in my room, and I would just build like a map of how I wanted everything to flow. Like, all right, I got my residential area over here, got my commercial area over here, got my industrial area over here. I built my roads, and then I would just turn my TV off and let the PlayStation run overnight so it would populate and wake up. Normally with like crazy amounts of destruction, but it was always nice to see what would happen after I planned it out. Like once every 10 times, I would get something legit come out of that. That I haven't done that in a long time. Would have never even considered that with Metal Gear. Makes a lot of sense.
yeah, it's I was just thinking when you said that, I used to really enjoy the sim style games. Of course, anymore, I just don't have the time to invest in them. So, I mean, those games are real sinkholes for that. But I kind of like the Metal Gear Solid 5 gives me some of that.
Yep.
So I still have the game I play, and I don't have a lot of time to commit to it, but I do get some of that sim stuff on the side, and it actually makes me better in the game too. So it's
Yeah, there's a reason
beneficial.
to do it. Yep.
I heard a guy talking the other day about, can I play Metal Gear Solid 5 but not do the base stuff because it doesn't interest me? And I was thinking to myself, I was like, man, if you're going to try to play this game without doing it, you are playing hard mode, my friend. Like, it's going to be brutal.
That's ridiculous.
Which got me thinking, I don't think you can really, like, they try to make it like you can gun your way through the game, but it almost feels like you really can't because you need to be recruiting them soldiers, and dead bodies really just don't add to your R&D team at all.
Well, let's think about it. So the whole aspect of Mother Base is research and development, and then further on you get the security team and all of that. But I feel like you could just pretty much run through the game, at least the first parts, with just shooting your way through. Like none of the missions require a specific item to run to do that mission. Like it's all pretty much do it the way you want. I mean, further on you need stuff out on Mother Base, but for the most part, I think you could just go through it with the basic weapons. And
Yeah,
like I can see it being difficult, but at some point you might need to upgrade like one piece. But I think you could. I think you really could.
I guess you could, but one, you'd have to be really good, and two, it would definitely be a lot harder.
Oh yes, no one's saying it'd be an easy run. No, but that's
I could see some people doing this as like challenge modes or challenge like runs, like, you know.
yeah, like an interesting second playthrough of the game would be to do it that way, which now sounds kind of interesting.
Mm.
Hmm.
Yeah, not something I'm going to try, but I'll watch somebody else do it on YouTube.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Twitch streaming Metal Gear Solid 5, no base development.
I wonder how that would work. I got so into the base development, I don't even know what it was like without it.
Yeah, if I had to go back to the beginning, it would probably really hurt.
Yeah.
What do you mean I don't have 10 different kinds of cardboard boxes? What kind of world is this?
Oh man.
Okay, well, obviously Metal Gear Solid 5 is dominating the gaming landscape and both of our lives, it would seem. So
Pretty much.
I guess one of the things I really wanted to bring up, though, while we were talking about it, have you had any laugh out loud moments?
Oh, for myself, not so much. More if it's a laugh out loud moment. It's why would I go through that? Like when you're one of the first missions in Africa, I had to go through and pick up the interpreter. And I was like, all right, that's simple enough. But you have to follow him through all the prisoners that he's interrogating on the way there. Then you have to wait till it's nighttime to actually capture him, to actually find the prisoner that you actually need. Um, I went through that whole base, killing every single person except the interpreter and the other dude. I was like, all right, cool. Nice and easy. I found out where the prisoner was. I was like, all right, this is a cakewalk. I'm already done with this mission. Then I decided, all right, they've got their communications little booth there. I'm just going to blow it up with some C4. And I took down the interpreter in that same room, and I walked out like, yep, I'm just going to blow this thing up. And boom, there goes the interpreter. There goes their communications. Got the prisoner, though. So, I mean, I did that part, but killed the interpreter all on accident.
Yeah. Now, I know right after that, don't you get the side op to pick up an interpreter who speaks the same language? Did you get that?
Side op, yeah, and I did the side op right away because I was definitely angry at myself. But yeah, it was a little depressing at the moment. I was like, how am I going to even interrogate anybody if this dude is dead? Like I thought maybe it was a joke. Maybe he's not actually dead. No, body was crisp.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Well, at least you get the side up though, because
Yeah.
I was just thinking what a game-breaking bug that would be if,
Oh
you
man.
know, you couldn't get the interpreter. I mean, that'd be like having a bug where if you use one of your companions on a mission, it corrupts your save data. Like,
Yeah. Oh, is that a thing?
not anymore, thank goodness.
Yeah, that would have destroyed the game for me because that's the whole point. You interrogate, you find new materials, new diamonds, find out where there's new specialists are, and I don't know if I could continue playing without it.
Yeah, the interrogating guys is pretty cool. I get mad at myself when I forget to do that with the last guy.
Yep.
I'm like, wait, I had him. Nobody was gonna see me. Like, I should have interrogated him.
There's a certain point where you get into a mission and you forget about the interrogation. Like, oh, I'm just taking people out left and right. Ooh, this is perfect. Let me Fulton this guy. Let me Fulton that guy. And then you get to the point where you're like, oh, I never got any information out of any of these people. I actually have to do
Yeah,
searching for myself. Dang it. Yeah.
yeah, I've ran into that a couple times. Okay, well, I had one. I think I may have told you about this already, but I had just completed a mission, and it was in that like cave complex in Afghanistan.
Okay.
And, so I finished it up, and I was done. I called in my chopper to pick me up, and it was like 400 meters away or something like that. So I started hustling, and I'm running the whole way because I got D-Dog with me, and I'm not switching out for the horse just to get to the chopper, you know. And I'm running, I'm going down. There's a lot of like downhill progression as I'm going through it. And I get to about 30 meters away, and the chopper's starting to make its descent because I'm getting close, you know.
Yep.
And because I was running and it was dark out, I didn't realize that it wasn't a small drop I was headed for, but an absolute shelf that I was just about to fall down. And I fell and I died right at the chopper.
So wait, was
So,
the checkpoint all the way at the beginning of the mission?
no, luckily the checkpoint was as I was exiting
Ah,
the mission area.
so
So when I redid it, I just had to run back to the chopper after I called it again. So it wasn't too bad, but it was just one of those. The chopper was right there. Like I could have probably jumped to it from the cliff. You know,
man.
it was just like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I've done that with D horse. Just run off a cliff thinking I'd be all right. Like, oh, it's a horse. The horse may get injured, but I'll be fine. Nope, horse runs away. I'm dead. That's how
Oh
that
man,
worked.
you were a big boss pinata.
Pretty much. Thought I was the more important character. Apparently, D horse was not
Uh,
fun.
so what would you say is like the biggest surprise of this game? Like we saw that pretty big gameplay demo at E3. I
Yeah,
mean, what was it, like 45 minutes? We saw a lot of the content from the game. I think there were multiple uh, trailers for it. I wasn't
yeah.
really
There was
interested because they were difficult to follow because without context, all those video scenes really just are a bunch of stuff. You're kind of asking yourself, what the hell is going on?
pretty much
So, but we saw a lot of stuff. And I'm just kind of curious now that you got the game in hand, you've been playing, what surprised you the most about the game?
the. I'm gonna say the fact that it's not repetitive. Like it seems like it'll be a repetitive game. The whole like, all right, infiltrate the base, get the objective, leave. But no, the way this game plays, there's so many different ways you can attack each mission, each side op, whatever you're doing. There's so many different aspects to it. You've got different weapons, different items you can go through. There's, I mean, your typical uh, Metal Gear funny things that happen with the cardboard box and the naked women on the side. Like, there's so many different ways, and there's so many replays of each mission that you can do. You never get bored. There's always something new you can do. And then you find out that there's certain people that you need to like research better objects. So you start doing that, and then you start doing other side ops to get specific. What's the word I'm looking for? Specialists. Like it's endless. You have so many options and so many things to do. You'll never get bored of the game. And like I can't, I'm amazed by that. There's like take Skyrim for example. I play Skyrim. I could play a couple hours of Skyrim, and then I'll get bored. Like, all right, it's pretty repetitive. The combat is pretty boring. But this game, I could play for hours and not get tired of it. There's too much for me to do. Oh, I don't want to go on a mission. All right, I'll go upgrade Mother Base and walk around there, see what I can do there. Oh, I don't want to do find a prisoner, extract a prisoner. Oh, I can go do something else. It's like there's too much, and there's enough story to keep the game going. It's not your typical Metal Gear story, but it's definitely enough to make you want to continue playing the game.
Oh, we're coming back to that story issue. Don't worry.
Oh man, that's what amazed me the most by it. Like, I can't get tired of it. I can't get bored of it. And then once I finish this one playthrough, then I'll probably play another one, but do it a completely different way. Maybe just go all out, guns blazing. Who needs a tranquilizer gun when you've got like pistols and hand cannons, you know?
That's true. I like what you said, though, about the repetitiveness, because I've always said all games are repetitive. You just do the same thing over and over. What separates the great games from the mediocre and the bad games is that good games, you don't realize you're doing the same thing over and over.
Yep.
And this one definitely qualifies because at its core, it's basically just run here, do this fetch quest, run here, do this fetch quest.
Mm-hmm.
But it never feels like that.
Oh, and then the best part is the enemies adapt to your tactics. So you can't even if you try to do the exact same thing over and over again, it won't work.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. You read my mind. Yeah, damn helmets.
Helmets, full body armor, shields. I'm like, oh, come on, really? Just wanted to hit you right in the back of the head. That's all I wanted. But no, you've got to have the shield going on there, you know?
And God forbid those heavy infantry guys. They are nasty.
Yeah, I had my run with them today too.
Yeah, I don't like them at all.
Yep.
Good thing is CQC chokeouts still work.
That works, and if you have Quiet helps a lot. She knocks the helmets off.
Yeah, but it takes like 4 tranquilizer rounds, so you need to come equipped with a different gun.
Yep. I tried to use the stun assault rifle, the UN ARC. I tried to use that on them. That didn't work. Doesn't penetrate anything. I was like, oh, this is rough.
You know what I did use to work, though? A smoke grenade.
Really? Oh, because you can sneak up on them.
Well, I was down to the last one because there were 4 of them, and I was able to choke out the first 2.
Okay.
And the last 2 came as a pair. And I was able to get the one, but then the second guy saw me. So he started chasing me, and I was like, I am in big trouble here, like, because I had nowhere to hide. Like, I had like one of those little like waist high kind of rails, like
yeah,
like you would see on the highway, the concrete slabs, you know, the dividers. So I duck behind that, and I get the smoke grenade, and I throw that out, and he just stands there in the smoke grenade, like, I can't see. And I was like, this is great. So then I snuck around and choked him out. So smoke grenade might be a good option.
So you're telling me that these guys have all this armor, but they're just dumb.
But they're not smart enough to walk out of the smoke cloud, yes. At least this guy wasn't. If there were multiple, I don't know if it would have worked so well. But for one, it got the job done.
I tried the a stun grenade, thinking that would stun them, but now they've got goggles, full face mask. Like, it wasn't working. I got stunned because I ran out too soon.
Smooth.
But,
I'm Big Boss. I'm the best soldier like ever. Oh, damn it.
My mistake. Yeah.
It's that robotic arm. It did it.
Oh, you know what else helps to make it not repetitive? You can choose a different buddy for each one. Like, I mean, you got your D-Horse, which is mainly for travel, but once you start getting vehicles, there's no real need for D-Horse. But then you've got Quiet, you've got D-Dog, you've got D-Walker, and like you have different. You can do the same mission a different way with each of them, which I really enjoy.
And don't forget, you get to bring your purple 4-wheel drive with you if you want.
I forgot about the customization of the vehicles.
Yeah, mine is like, My Little Pony purple, just because I like driving around in it to see if they notice. Like, oh yeah, that's the purple. Yeah, of course. Of course
That's
it's
the guy we
purple.
should be attacking. Yep.
You know what? I got to do like a pink tank or something.
I was
Like,
thinking that. Just really bright and vibrant tank just rolling in.
yeah, that would be really awesome. The pink death tank.
Oh
It's
man.
the pink tank of murder.
Oh man.
Okay, so continuing with the Metal Gear, what's your favorite aspect of the game?
Ah. Favorite aspect of the game. You know, it's funny. I don't do the missions that often. Like I'll do like one or two missions every now and then, but I mainly just do a lot of side ops and collect a lot of resources. So I guess that's mother base building and trying to get a beast of a team. So each of my squads are just running with A+ guys. So just I'm gonna say the customization of mother base and the research is probably my top favorite aspect of the game.
Hmm. Okay, I don't know. Mine's a little different. Mine is really the way they've designed the game with the toolkit. You know, like they basically say, here's a whole bunch of tools. Go solve the puzzle however you want to solve it. You know, like, and that just appeals to me because it's such a great way to design a game. Very complicated and not easy to do, obviously, or else everybody would be doing it. But it's very liberating to kind of be like, you know, pick your arsenal and go do it your way.
Yeah, you know that is interesting. And when you think about it, that is a very complex thing to actually create in a game. But it's it's a very simple gaming mechanic for everyone else. Like it probably took hours and hours, days, months developing this, but the gameplay is simple. It's not very complex at all. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's
Well,
really nice.
it's like mission design. It's like when you play like, I don't know, this is kind of a tangent here, but like you play like a Mario game, and I mean like the core Super Mario games,
Mm.
and they're like master classes on level design, and nobody else can seem to do it quite the way those guys can. When you play this, you kind of see some of that in the mission design because you have to design it in a certain way so that there's not just one way to get it done.
Hmm.
uh, Probably my most disappointing parts of the game are the parts where you kind of can only do it one way,
Yeah,
like the Sahelanthropus fight. You know, you there's really not a lot of options for how to tackle that. It's it's kind of a forced linear kind of thing.
yeah, that is true. I would say that is probably one of the more disappointing things, which is why I'm glad there's not as many boss battles.
Oh, you take that heresy and put it somewhere else, not in this podcast, sir.
That is like one of the biggest complaints I've heard about this game is everyone missing the 10-15 minute cut scenes and boss battles. I'm like, I enjoyed that in the other games, but this there's just so much to do. It's so much fun.
Okay, well, we'll take that cutscene aside and we'll tuck that aside for when we get back to this story issue in a second. As far as the bosses, the boss units were like some of the most memorable things from the other games. And one thing I could do more with, because like Skullface is pretty cool villain. I
Yeah,
haven't made it very far into the game yet, so I don't know if he kind of like flames out or like probably a bad idea with the Burning Man. But if he just kind of if he becomes less interesting, you
I
know.
wonder. I wonder if
But
he's only a small part of a bigger issue.
yeah, I don't know. But like he's not a bad villain. But like it'd be great if there were more of them because you got him and you got like that freaky kid, you know.
Yeah. Is there
Like
two
if
of them?
I there might be. I haven't figured it out, and I'm not trying to find spoilers, so I'm not going looking
There
either.
you go.
Uh, but like I don't know. I always think about that Metal Gear Solid group, Foxhound, you know, and that those bosses were real memorable. I think about Metal Gear Solid 3 and the Cobra unit, and they were real memorable.
Mm.
You know, the 1 and 2 was a little weird, to be honest. I liked it at the time, but looking back, like Fat Man and Lady Luck and Vamp. They were all like, they just don't match up with those other two units.
I think.
And
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, the beauties from 4, they really were just throwbacks to the bosses from Metal Gear Solid 1. So I mean, they were okay. It was cool, kind of like nice retro throwback, which is really that whole game was fan service. So
I always felt. I feel like between the games, like Metal Gear 5 and then the rest of them, the first 4, I would say 5 just took it and went a completely different direction. Like they're not. The other games seemed a little more linear. Like you had your map and you had to go through there, which I mean, considering the consoles that they were on, that made sense. But now there's so much more you can do. I think maybe adding a few boss fights in this one, like they have, it's all right with me. I'm okay with that. I do miss the older gameplays, but I mean, you can always go back and play those if you wanted to. But this one, it kind of set, I want to say it set a bar for open world games in gaming if you want to do that. Between them and The Wicker 3 are probably the two. Like the freedom that it allows you to do in each game, each mission, anything you do on there is amazing.
yeah, especially for like a shooter type game like this, you don't really see a lot of open world stuff with that. It's usually linear and on rails. Not on rails, but it's kind of like you got to go here, you got to go from here to here, you got to go from here to here, you know. And then it'll be like, here's this one little open area where you can go down one of 3 paths that all end up back at the same place in 5 minutes.
Yep. Or somebody holding your hand like, follow me, go here. It's like,
yeah,
okay.
But which is, I don't,
nice.
I'm fine with stuff like that if it's a scenario where it's actually like really cool. Because if you're going to be linear, then it better be awesome. Like I better want to go down the hallway to see the next thing.
Very true.
Like, I don't know, it's like going to an art gallery. It's like, if I'm going to go to the gallery, you better have cool shit. Like if it's boring, I'm leaving, you know? So same idea. If your gameplay is going to be linear, that's fine. You just better make it really awesome since you have so much control of the set piece.
Oh, I never really thought about that. And that kind of makes sense. And this is probably like taboo amongst a lot of people. But the Call of Duty games did that. And when I think of it, like when I played those games and their campaign modes, it's all very linear. It's all go here, go there. But they add so much into the game, and it's kind of the Michael Bay effect of video games. Like just throw explosions here, make tragic things happen. Like I mean, for that game, it made sense, and I actually enjoyed the campaigns more than I enjoyed the multiplayer. But I never took that into consideration. That if they're going to do a linear game, then it better be legit.
Moment to moment, it should be worth going to the next thing.
Yep.
Okay. So I want the bosses. You're not too worried about it since the game's awesome.
Pretty much.
Oh, let's get to the one that seems to be killing people. The story. Now, I'm going to start by saying this. You got to think back to 1997.
All right.
I think that's about right for Metal Gear Solid 1. The PlayStation and the CD-ROM format opened up so many opportunities for the gameplay. But if you look back at it, the graphics were kind of left you lacking a bit. At the time, they were pretty good. But
I used to think PlayStation graphics were the best. All right.
Yeah.
As soon as I saw it, I was like, oh my gosh, it's almost real people.
Well, everybody was learning 3D, and everybody was trying to figure out how this 3D thing worked at the time. So they had this opportunity to now do new things that they couldn't do before. And you make Metal Gear Solid 1, and you have the option of voice acting, right? So they add all this voice acting into the game. Well, now you have this opportunity to tell this great story. You got these good voice actors. You have this chance to really do something that hasn't been done before. So they do it, and there's a lot of exposition, a lot of conversation, and a lot of cutscene. And that was great at the time because that was the exact opposite of all those like shitty Sega CD, virtual movie things where you're, It was just you were watching the game. Well, this was actually you were watching a cinematic, and then you were taking control at a certain point. Then they kind of got stuck into that formula while the rest of the games industry was kind of starting to branch away from that.
Huh.
And I think it was one of them situations where the fans kind of cornered you, right? Because it's, well, this is what you did and we liked it. So keep doing that and don't stop doing that. Instead of maybe giving them some more freedom to kind of express themselves, change it up a bit. And they did change certain things, but that whole long cutscenes, as the rest of the industry kind of strode away from that, like towards the end of the PS2 era and into the PS3, Xbox 360 era,
Yeah.
they were still kind of getting stuck there. So I think part of what happened was that all that ridiculously long story, and I'm watching the game, and I love it because the story's good. I'll sit through it, but I think it's better to try to get away from that because that's not really what everybody's doing at this point. And I think you can be more concise because a lot of that old Metal Gear was very like anime style. Like, we're going to draw this on and draw this on and draw this on.
Yep.
Like, I especially remember Metal Gear Solid 4. You would go through these parts and you'd watch this big long conversation between a couple characters. And then it would fade to black and be like, oh, okay, it's over. I'm going to play now. Oh no, it was loading the next conversation they're going to have. And you'd watch for 5 more minutes and it would fade to black and you'd be like, okay, it's game time. I'm getting back in. I'm hyped now after what they talked about. Oh, it was just loading up the next conversation they're going to have. And it would be like, don't you people get sore throats? Like, come on. Like, there's like a war going on and we're having a 20-minute conversation about the war economy. Like, well, let's go. You know, people's lives are at stake. So anyway, long story short, I think they got kind of trapped in what they did in Metal Gear Solid 1 that worked so well and built such a huge fan base and had trouble getting away from that aspect. Well, the gameplay continued to evolve with each game. They got stuck into that story kind of just trapped, really. I mean, they were just cornered in and they couldn't figure out how to get away from it.
So they just kind of abandoned it.
It worked. People liked it, so they kept doing it.
Yeah, I get that. And also, it was, I feel like this happens in a lot of different aspects other than gaming. So like web design and anything you do, the world has gone from long stories and a bunch of text or a bunch of like cutscenes to we want things quick and concise. We don't want to have to wait for it. We want everything to be convenient. And I feel like they kind of did that with this. There's like, well, if we don't do so much of the cutscenes that we've done in the past, we can get a more concise game and get people more gameplay, making the game, I think, a little bit better.
Oh, the gameplay has definitely gotten better. And the story, since I'm not that deep into it yet, I can't talk too much about it. But the little bits I've gotten, I liked. And they didn't take super long, so I could get right back to playing.
Yeah,
and if that's what you're going to give me, that works.
And it works really well because after each mission, it's not like after you do each main mission, nothing happens. It's after each mission, there's a reason why you had to go get the prisoner or have to go get this guy or do something in a base. There's a reason for it, and you get like pieces of the story leading on to it without having these ridiculously long cutscenes. Like there was, like I can't really spoil the game, but you have to get a certain person. And I think there's like 2 or 3 cutscenes in there, but they weren't cutscenes for the sake of cutscenes. They were like, all right, so this is what happens, and it leads you on to the next mission. And like, all right, this is what happens here, and then it led you on to the separate mission. They have the way they're doing it is, I feel, is a lot better of telling a story instead of a constant story going on and then being drawn out. This isn't a very story-driven game. And I like that. After each mission, you get your debriefing, I want to call it, and it tells you what happens, why you have to do what you do, and then it kind of hints at what's going to happen in your next mission, which also leads the story on. Which I don't think there's any problem with that. I think it's good. Small bits of
Yeah.
story at a time.
And you know what else? Not to be dismissed, the cassette tapes.
Oh yeah.
This is good because you get extra story content in there.
Mm-hmm.
But for the guy who's like, I don't really care, I just want to go shoot stuff, infiltrate bases, he doesn't need to listen to it.
Yep.
But for a guy like me who wants every ounce of it he can get, I'm not leaving the ACC until after I listen to all my new cassette tapes. It's just not happening. So, but it's great because it gives you that flexibility. So the guy who wants more story like me can get it. The guy who wants less story and just wants to play the game can just keep playing.
Mm-hmm.
So I really, those kind of systems I always like that give you some kind of flexibility in there.
There's a choice. You get to make your own choices.
What's funny, though, is that I can't be bothered at all to read all the codex entries in a Dragon Age or Mass Effect game because there's just too many of them.
Every person you meet or every object you run into has a codex thing, and you have to read. Like, nope, that's fine. I won't do that unless I really need to.
Yeah, exactly. When I was younger, I would definitely do more of that stuff, like just read every little bit of lore you would give me. But anymore, my time is... I'm constrained, man. I can't be reading 12 straight stories about some people from 3 centuries ago that have no relevance to what I'm doing right now in the game.
Mm-hmm.
I'm bad enough with real history, let alone video game world history.
Yep. Give me a book and let me read it on my own time. Not for the game. Not during the game. That's how I feel.
So I don't know. In summary for me, the story, it's not traditional Metal Gear. I think it's a good evolution. I'd love to say if there was another Metal Gear game coming, which it's not looking like there will be, I'd say they could probably do to put a little more in. But I think based on the way games are at this moment in time, this was the right way to go.
I agree. I agree with you. I don't think that I think they did it right.
Honestly, the lack of boss fights bothers me a lot more than the story.
That is like, I'm telling you, it's the number one complaint is the boss fights. Everyone was looking forward to it. I'm like, I mean, I enjoyed them. I've always enjoyed the boss fights, but I didn't think it would fit in this.
Well, the other thing I'll say is this. If you're not inspired, if you don't have a good slew of bosses to put in there, then don't do it. Don't give me uninspired. Just here's some guys, here's, Vacuum Dragon. Like, no, I don't want to fight some guy who has fangs and thinks that his vacuum is a secret weapon. Like,
Vacuum Dragon. Thanks for that.
I don't know. I was trying to think of something weird like they would do. But yeah, like, just if they had some, then I'm kind of upset it's not in the game. But I'm guessing either they didn't or they just made a design choice that it was not something they wanted to do in this game.
I do wonder why it wasn't added in there. Like, I mean, they introduced two of the bosses and then the main guy, Skullface. It's like you wonder why. Is it, did you guys just want to keep these few bosses in? Like, because I feel like, I don't know, the game seems to be more global based, more, it's not, there's a bigger issue than what we have Cypher. Like, right now we're just 100% going on Cypher because of the whole, the stuff that happened in Ground Zeroes. But I feel like there's a much bigger issue than one small group. And I think that's probably why there aren't as many boss fights that we have.
Yeah, maybe. I want to know where they keep getting all these soldiers from because I'm Fultoning everybody. Like
a whole base.
Yeah, where are they getting them from? Can I just send a giant Fulton balloon to that place and just take the whole base and add it as a strut? Like, we could just cut to the chase right now.
Well, I mean, most of them are Soviets, so you want to know, automatically enlist you once you turn 18, and then you have to serve a few years. If that's it, then we just need to find out where they're having all these kids.
Well, it's 1984, so maybe.
Find out where they're having biggest high school graduation of 18-year-olds and just take them then. Just gonna take this group of high school graduates right now, and we're gonna train them into art. You're probably better off doing that than finding people that already fight for another country.
We are getting way off here. Yeah. Although that's what happens when you have a Fulton balloon. You start thinking of weird things.
Very true. First it's a few soldiers, then it's an animal. Then you're like, oh, what else? You gotta get bigger. It's a mortar, and then it's a mounted machine gun, and then it's tanks. You know, it just never ends.
Well, I just need to get that wormhole upgrade. That just seems like so awesome.
It's the end game right there.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's what happens when you're only on mission 15. Is you still have lots of cool stuff to look forward to.
Yep. Oh,
yeah. Metal Gear. It is absolutely just. It's eating my life, and it's just crowding out all other games right now.
It's the truth. It is the truth. That's what happens.
And it's a shame to see Konami really stepping away from games at this point, because it's like you have a team. Look at this brilliant thing they can do. You know?
They have the two games that I know that they do that are their bigger sellers. I didn't realize this until a few days ago. They do Pro Evolution Soccer, which is the FIFA competitor, but that is huge in Russia and a lot of other European countries. And it's like, why would you abandon that? You're abandoning that. You're abandoning Metal Gear. It's like
they already abandoned the Castlevania franchise a while ago.
It's like I don't get what their business strategy is, but
well, they're clearly focusing on mobile games because that dominates their homeland of Japan, and it's getting more traction here.
Yeah,
but there's still room in the console space. Like, not in Japan. The console is practically dead over there. But, I mean, and this is really an issue that's been hurting all the Japanese developers and publishers, is the fact that the console market has kind of dried up and gone away. And they have the handheld market and they have the mobile market. But that, as far as home consoles, that has kind of died. But that just means you have to be a little more sensible about things. Like, Square Enix has handled this fairly well, in that they've realized that the audience then is the West for consoles.
Yep.
So you have to focus on what that audience is looking for.
Mm-hmm.
And they've done well with like, you know, Just Cause, Tomb Raider, like good stuff with that. They still haven't figured it out with Final Fantasy. And I'm not going to go off on a big tangent there, because we could do 3 more episodes with all the things I have to say about that series at this point. But hopefully, as they're becoming more aware that the console market lies here, and that the console market is still strong worldwide, they can kind of just shift their paradigm a little bit and focus more on that, while still maintaining an emphasis on things like the mobile market, which is also becoming huge around the world.
That's interesting, because I think consoles are only huge here in the US. I think US and maybe the UK actually continue gaming on consoles, where everyone else has switched more to, well, if you're doing anything that's stationary, you're probably sitting on a PC outside of those countries. But yeah, that's such a weird thing where people are switching over to mobile and handheld devices over in Japan. Like, personally, I don't like them. I mean, I've always enjoyed the handheld, like the Game Boys and the 3DS and all of that. But with mobile gaming, it's not my thing. I don't understand it. So like, when I hear of companies that are like shifting primarily to that, it's like, you still have the option of building better console games or PC games in other countries. You still have a huge market in those areas. It's like Konami could easily split into two different companies. They can have a Konami mobile and then a Konami for console and PC. Like, but I
Yeah,
don't
it
know.
seems like they don't want to basically have one foot in each side of the pool. You know, they kind of just want to be like, this is what we're going to do over here. We're focusing on that. And that whole other thing can go away. Which to me just makes me wonder, why don't they just lease their like franchise and like their IPs out, you know? Like let somebody else make a Metal Gear game. Let somebody else make a Castlevania game. Let
Mm.
somebody else handle all the development of Pro Evolution Soccer. Let somebody else publish it. Like just basically let them use the name and collect some free royalties. Makes sense to me. I mean, don't give the kid around the corner license to make a Metal Gear game, but if a good studio with a decent reputation or a good publisher, like okay, people are gonna moan when I say this, but like if EA came along and was like, "Hey, can we make the next Metal Gear game? We got a studio, we want to give it to them," you know,
Oh man,
I don't think they're gonna do it, but if they really hate Hideo Kojima as much as it seems they do, when somebody inevitably picks him up and gives him whatever king's ransom he asks for, and he starts developing his next game, will they be more apt to be like, oh, you're going to make a game for somebody else, even though we don't want you? Yeah, go ahead. Make a Metal Gear game. Go ruin the franchise. Whatever.
dude, I hope somebody picks him up and they make a new game. But Konami, they should not lease out any Metal Gear, like unless they're gonna lease it out to Kojima. Like if anybody else makes any game like that, I probably would not buy it. And especially EA, I would never touch a Metal Gear
It's,
game that's made by EA.
I don't know. If it was Hideo Kojima's game, I might. EA doesn't make all rubbish, that's for sure.
Yeah, I would say so. Like, I
I
mean,
mean, these are the guys who own BioWare, and they're still making pretty high quality stuff.
what Dragon Age?
Yeah, not
That
two, but
that's
Inquisition, good stuff.
I was like that's it. They made very well when BioWare first came out. They had some of the best RPG games with Coder and uh what did they do the first two Dragon Age?
Well, what they did, Baldur's Gate,
Baldur's
and
Gate. Oh, I
yeah,
forgot
but
about
wait, yeah, you're going way back there. They did KOTOR, they did Jade Empire, they did the first Mass Effect on their own with some backing from Microsoft Game Studios, and then that was going well, and EA backed up the money truck, and BioWare did the one thing I never wanted them to do and sold out.
that. Yeah.
Can't blame them. I'd have probably taken the money too, but I kind of loved that they were like this, like, you know, kind of like an indie developer who was actually like big time.
Making really good games.
Yeah,
I'm trying to think though. I don't think
and
EA has
there
come
was
up
a
with
little dip right after EA picked them up too. You know,
yeah.
because like Mass Effect 2, which is a game I really like, and I mean I 100%ed it trophy wise, so trust me, I like the game a lot. But like it changed a lot from Mass Effect 1. Like the story just went completely out the window, and it became like this action shooter game more so.
Yeah, that's
You know,
exactly what happened.
and then like Dragon Age 2 was way different than Dragon Age 1. And you kind of saw BioWare, and I don't really know if it had anything to do with EA, but they were trying to make their games a little more appealing to people outside that hardcore RPG genre.
Hmm.
I don't know if that's really the right move, but I get what they were doing. But they've really kind of rebounded strong now with Inquisition, so I'm hoping this is a sign that, there were some philosophical changes going on within the company. Obviously, the co-founders left because KOTOR bombed, and they just bailed on all their people. And I don't care what spin they give us, I'm always going to resent the two of them for that because that was just horrible. Uh, I mean, I don't really know for sure, but I always assumed that they kind of fell on the sword, so to speak, because EA started laying off all kinds of people,
Yep.
but the game tanked. Like, you had to know that would happen. And this is the deal you made when you made the deal with the devil and took their money. Like, you can't just run away now. Like, you can't be like, oh, I'm going to take all your money. And yeah, we'll work for you. Yeah, everything's great. Oh, you did something I don't like? I'm going to take my ball and go home. Like, no.
That's not how that works.
Yeah, you stick out the tough times. You don't leave, like, and say, oh, I want to go make beer for a living. Like, what? Like, you're running away from it because shit got real and you don't know how to deal with it. And maybe they quit to save a bunch of other people's jobs. And if they did, that's pretty honorable. But if you ain't going to come out and say it, how can I give you credit for it? From the looks of things, it looks like
So they just ran away.
Yeah, like times got tough and you turned tail and ran like a coward. That's basically what it looks like. So if one of them would love to come on record and say what the hell really happened, that would be great.
It's probably not happening.
No, at this point, I doubt it. Maybe at some point when we're far, far removed from that, we'll finally know the truth. Anyway, what the hell were we talking about?
I don't even remember. I was just thinking, I was like, whoa, this isn't Metal Gear. What happened?
Yeah. We are derailed. Should be the derailed podcast. Nah, somebody's probably already got that. But anyway, I think what we were kind of getting at was that EA owned BioWare, and we were talking about EA making a Metal Gear Solid 5 game.
Yep.
Yeah.
I can see another company doing that. I feel like EA would change the game completely.
Yeah. I don't know how I feel about EA picking up Kojima. I don't even know if he's going to still make games, but I would think he can command so much money that I can't see him going away. I think my only fear would be if Microsoft got him, because they just throw money around so much. Like, it'd be really cool to see somebody else get him.
I'm trying to think of the studios that Microsoft has that could actually do a good Metal Gear game, or at least use him to make a good game in general.
How weird would it be if Nintendo got him?
Oh, we would,
like, what the hell would happen then?
I'm trying to picture a game like that, but I can't. You'd probably have better level management and level creation, but
can you just imagine like Kojima's weirdness with like Nintendo's weirdness? Like, man, that would be I don't know. I think my brain would explode. He's got a bit of a rapport with Nintendo from, back when they did the Twin Snakes on the GameCube. Yep. So they know each other. They're in Japan. He's in Japan. I don't know. Like, I would just...
wow.
I could see him doing some weird game about, like, bugs or something,
I'd probably play it.
Like Life Under the Microscope or something, and it'd be some crazy, like, I don't know. I can't even think that they would be really bizarre.
I'd probably play it, though. I'd probably be the first in line for it, too.
Or here's a power play. How about, Naughty Dog brings him on?
I can see that. I don't think they have the money for it, but yeah, they could...
Well, they got Sony's backing, so it depends...
Do they?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they're... Could you imagine, though, if he had one of the Naughty Dog teams like that? Whew, that would be scary. That I don't know that the styles mesh, but the quality of talent of people they got over at Naughty Dog.
That would be really nice.
Yeah, I mean that would be scary too, though, because like if Sony gets him, that means the games probably become Sony exclusives, and I don't know. I'd kind of like him to stay in that third-party realm, like so that like. I don't know, one, so that more people can enjoy his work, and two, I don't want to see like a balance of power thing, kind of, like the fanboyism that would come out if he went with Sony or Microsoft would be like so ridiculous, like especially with absolutely no game on the horizon for years, but people would be making a big deal, like, it just, I don't want to deal with that,
I still think that if Microsoft was to just throw money at him, they would actually develop a decent game. I'd be okay with that.
Let him do a Call of Duty game?
Oh, you know what? if he could change it from this explosions everywhere and America's the best, I'd be all over it. You know, just give me a good quality shooter. I'll be okay with that.
Call of Duty terrorist adventures. let you play the bad guys. Come from an oppressed third world country who survives on oil production. You
know what? Add a little magical realism to it, and we've got ourselves a good game. I like this.
Yeah. Nah, I don't know. Who knows if he even wants to do those kind of games anymore or not? Like, it'll be fascinating to see where he goes.
Sure, he's got the resources and the connections where he could probably make his own studio. Probably demand a lot from other people too.
I also wonder what his contract with Konami's like. Like, does he have like a no compete clause for X many months? Like, if he gets fired, does it matter? Like, if they fire him, does that clause, disintegrate? Like, things we're gonna find out if they finally officially fire him, which is still kind of like this weird limbo thing that nobody can seem to figure out.
I thought he was fired.
It seems like he is, but I don't think he is because I was just reading a story today about looks like his imminent departure. And I'm like, well, what? I thought he was fired already.
Maybe he's waiting for the online, the Metal Gear Online to drop on the 6th.
I'm wondering if he's like pseudo fired, like he's at home and it's basically like, don't come back. Like, you're going to keep getting that paycheck for now, but like, don't come back.
All right. Maybe they're just looking at sales and numbers and they're like, maybe we should keep him. Maybe we should do a 6,
But nobody knows he did the game because they took his name off the box.
I forgot about that. Oh, man.
You want to talk about people taking their ball and going home. Way to go, Konami.
I completely forgot about that.
And it's so strange for a Japanese company to do something like that too. Nope. Like, that's very spiteful and very American of them.
Mm-hmm. That is interesting. I wonder what the reason was for that.
I don't know. There is some kind of breakdown between them. It is a nasty, nasty Facebook breakup.
I remember that's why Ground Zero. There's a whole bunch of drama with that because he didn't even want that to be released, and they're like, "We need something. It's too many years apart from the games. We needed something," and he had to release Ground Zeroes just to get them, just to please them.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like Japanese Degrassi with this shit. But what's funny? You were talking about Ground Zeroes. The article I read, and it was on joystick.com too. Let's give some ups to them for the article. And it actually said that there were supposed to be 3 parts to the Metal Gear Solid 5 thing. So there was a continuation to this even that we're probably not going to see now.
Wow. So that explains why. I don't know what happens in the game, but I heard the ending is kind of just bleh. Just a little bleh. It wasn't. They didn't do anything. People were upset about the ending of the game, and maybe that's why, because there's supposed to be a third piece to it, and we don't get it.
It's like them television shows that kind of like season 1 is like this all-encompassed season, and it ends, and then it's like, well, where's season 2 going? And then they come out with season 2, and they kind of like pigeonhole something in. You're like, that seems really forced. And what you end up realizing is that season 1 was a completely encapsulated story because they didn't know if they were getting renewed for season 2 when they wrote it. So everything had to wrap up. Then when they got signed for season 2 and beyond, then it was like, oh man, well, we kind of wrapped everything up there. And you see that with games the opposite way. Like, there's kind of a lackluster ending. It's almost like you kind of know there was supposed to be a next thing come after it.
Yep, that is pretty much how this game is ending, apparently. But I really wish they'd just surprise us with like, hey, guess what, guys? We got a third part to it, Yeah.
DLC.
Like, cause I'm thinking, like, as I play this and I keep seeing my percentage go up, I'm like, oh, this is going to be depressing when I finish this. I mean, they'll play the same story again, or they're
No,
gonna
it won't, because you're going to finish it right around the time Fallout 4 drops, so you'll be fine.
Oh, that's a good point.
At the
That's a
speed,
very
at the
good
speed
point.
me and you are going, that's about where we're going to end up.
That's what's going to happen.
Yeah. So, and then you can drop another 200 hours of your life into that, and
200. I'm thinking a lot more than that.
Yeah,
I don't think that's the game that I've played that's less than like 500 hours.
Yeah, they can really suck your life up.
That
And
is a time sink for real.
the mods could make a big difference too.
Oh man, yep. And I heard they were allowing mods on console versions of the games too.
I know they said that for Xbox. I heard that they might for PlayStation 4. I haven't checked in on that in a while, so I don't know what the status of that is. They better get it on PS4. Like
they definitely should.
Yeah, I'll be so happy if they have mods on PS4. That's where I'd prefer to play it. So,
I'll probably just continue playing on the PC, but I do plan on getting the PS4 probably within the next couple months. See what they got going on for Black Friday deals.
Join the herd. Join the herd.
Gonna be different, man. I gotta play it on Xbox forever.
Yeah, but then we can like stream Let's Plays and stuff together,
Oh, that's true. Wait, you could do that on the Xbox One too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just don't have one of those yet. It's coming soon. The exclusives are getting to the point where I'm like, okay, it's about time. But much like you, I'm kind of waiting to see what those Black Friday deals are.
Yep. I just want to see what kind of bundles I can get.
Yeah. The ones last year were really good, but at that point, I was more concerned with getting a second PlayStation 4 for my son.
Ah.
So now that we got the two of those set up, now it's like he really wants the Xbox, and there's some exclusives now that I'm like, man, I got to get those. Yeah. Although I really see the Xbox One, at least at this point in the console generation, as just being for the exclusives and the PS4 being for everything else.
The one reason that I wanted the Xbox One was the NFL Network. I thought that was a cool feature to add to it. That's really it. I don't even really feel any like inclination to buy an Xbox One. Like I have the 360, but I know that every game that I bought on the 360 is not going to go over to the Xbox One, and it's all digital. So I don't even know if that's going to actually work. So I was like, I'll get a PS4, start a new collection of games going that way. At least that's
I was really excited by that announcement at E3 with the backwards compatibility with games.
Mm-hmm.
But as I had time to think about it a bit, I was like, well, what games? Because we don't really know yet. And how good is it going to really work? Because I had a lot of problems on the 360 with the backward compatible games.
Yeah, a lot of issues right away.
Yeah, so I'm kind of like a wait and see approach at this point. I'm like, if it works good, awesome, very excited. But the other thing is, if it doesn't, not so excited. And if the selection of games sucks because there's games like, hey, we're going to HD remaster this game. So no, you can't add it to your backward compatibility list. Make people buy it again.
Oh, man.
I hate that. It's like, just do it both ways. Okay?
Never considered that.
Let your loyal fans who bought the game and put money in your pocket use the version of it they already have.
Yep.
And remaster it, because there's a lot of people who will be like, oh, they remastered this game. Let me give you more money. God knows gamers do that shit all the time. And there might be new people who are like, oh, I didn't play that last generation. Just missed it. Let me play the remastered version.
There it is.
Also, will you be able to stream your backward compatible games? Or will it be like it was? Because remember on the 360, when you played an Xbox game, all 360 features were pretty much disabled.
You couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
Live would sign you out and you just be the basic game. Yeah.
Yeah. So if the backwards compatibility is like that, and it's basically like you're in 360 mode, like, well, that sucks. Like, so I can't stream. I can't do any of the cool new things the new systems let me do. good that I can play the game still. That's still a big win. But, you know, the whole point is you want to be able to play your old games on your new system because you want to be integrated into that new console interface. Like, you want the new controller, you want the new features. You just want to play the old game.
You know,
You know?
knowing Microsoft, I have a feeling they're going to do it the bad way. It's the easiest way to go. It's like, all right, we got backwards compatibility, but you can't use the Xbox One interface.
Yeah, but
basic.
I'll say this about Microsoft though: when they're behind, they come out throwing haymakers. Like when they're losing the war, they will go above and beyond. It's when they're ahead you need to be scared, because when they're ahead, they basically try to tell you how to be a gamer. You know, that's pretty much what Microsoft does with anything. Anytime they do anything good and their, you know, ego gets too big, they get out of control and start thinking they know better than the rest of the planet. You know,
Interesting.
just think about all their failures post XP. You know, they do XP. It's great. They, guess what? Here's Windows Vista. They fuck it up.
Oh, they destroyed it.
Then they come back with 7. They're down. They come swinging. They bring out 7. All right, we're back in business. All right, they're doing good from 7. Their egos get inflated again. Oh, Windows 8. Like, you know. So when I like Microsoft is when they're losing and they get real innovative and real customer friendly. When I hate Microsoft is when they're winning, because they basically kind of say, hey, we're big shots. We know what we're doing.
It's very true. With their last at E3, they pretty much came out to pretty much a lot of nice new features that they're adding to Xbox One, a lot more exclusive games that were really nice. And then the adding of streaming to your Windows 10 computer. It's pretty nice. And I think a lot of the Xbox One exclusives are going to be available for Windows 10 also. So you're not just stuck with playing it on the console. They're trying to bring PC gaming back. Which I think you're pretty much right on with that. They just throw haymakers out. It's like, you know what? This is the stuff you guys have been asking for years. Here you go. Take it. Buy more of our products now.
And hey, that makes them better than Nintendo, because Nintendo's been down for like a decade and a half now, 2 decades, and just ain't doing anything to inspire me at this point. So at least I give Microsoft that. Like when they're down, they don't run further and further away into their weird corner like Nintendo does. Like Nintendo's down and they're like, double down on that. Game Boy to GameCube connectivity is the future, you know, like not the internet, you know. Oh, what? People like controllers? No, let's give them remote controls, like, and motion controls, so that whenever people try to go back and play those games they like on another console, they can't do it, you know.
Hey, but then they gave you an option to buy the accessory, you know? They did it right. I think they did the Wii right.
No, what I mean is, like, the other day I wanted to go back and play Mario Galaxy, because Mario Galaxy 2, phenomenal games.
Mm-hmm.
But I gotta use the stupid remote. Even though I'm on the Wii U, even though I bought the one from the store because I couldn't find my physical copy. So I was like, you know what? I'll give them the money. I love that game. So I buy it from the store and I get it. And you got to use the stupid remote. And I'm like, you guys couldn't make it so it could work with the Wii U Pro controller, which is awesome. Like,
wait, you have to use the Wiimote?
Yes.
What?
Yeah, because that's what it was designed for. And
man.
Yeah, and this is what sucks, because I don't really like the Wii remote and the nunchuck. Like, it's okay, but like you can't relax when you use that thing because you got to be pointing it at the screen all the time.
And it's
like,
an awkward thing to hold sideways too.
Yeah, I don't. No, because you got to use it with the nunchuck, so you got to do the two-handed style. Yeah. So, but you know what I mean? Like, and it just ruins my enjoyment. It's like, I just want to play this like I played every other Mario game with a controller, you know? Like, and this is what drives me nuts because everybody's like, Nintendo, they're so innovative. And I'm like, yeah, but it sucks once you're not on that system anymore because they do all this weird integration stuff. Like Wii U, it's got the touchpad, and it's got the
massive.
the Wii U, gamepad. It's like, yeah, but what happens on the NX now? Like, how are you going to play those games without the gamepad? Like, it's not going to work. It's just not. Like, you're going to have to integrate the gamepad back into the next console or just not be able to play Wii U titles on the NX. 3DS. Like, are there games that require 3D? What about the DS? You build all these games now for 2 screens. What if their next handheld, like, presume the NX is this portable console that people have been rumoring? It's going to have 2 screens to be backward compatible with those games, right? Like, weird things like this that they do that
it's very gimmicky.
Well, it's great in the moment, but its longevity is of concern. There's ways around the dual screen thing a little more than the Wii remote thing, because like they do emulate DS games on the Wii U, and it works. Yeah, but it has to put 2 screens on your monitor basically, or one on the monitor, one on the remote.
Okay.
Or the gamepad rather. But it's things like that. Like sometimes you're too worried about being innovative and not enough about being awesome. Like. We'll save it for another podcast. I have a lot to say about that. And
the thing is, though, when Nintendo when they hit hard, and it's very good quality games. Like I want to say
they've got great people working for them. They've got some really brilliant minds. It's more the business people that get in Nintendo's way than anything.
Okay.
Like if those creative people and their developers had carte blanche, like they could probably really do some good stuff. Like let's just imagine this hypothetical situation. All the businessmen from Nintendo are gone. Just all gone. They got wormholed by a Fulton balloon. And all the developers and all their creative staff and all the guys who make all these amazing games tomorrow get picked up by Sony, right? Because they're in Japan, right? So they just like head across the island to wherever Sony stuff is headquartered. And Sony says, come on in, guys. All you guys work for us. Make great games. How awesome would that be?
I think the games would be better. I think everything would be better.
They could do some really cool stuff. Like, and yeah, they wouldn't have these like gimmicks that the Nintendo systems have had going back to the Wii now, but they could just focus on making great games, which is what they do best. Great level design, great functional games that work when you take them out of the, like you open the game case and it works. No day one patches, like it just works. Like, and that's beautiful. That's one thing Nintendo does better than anybody. But it's also because they're really bad at the other thing, which is like modern day things like patching and, online integration and, because friend codes are so much better than,
oh man,
who wouldn't want to have to input codes to find their friends? Like,
don't get me started on that. I've used it once and I can't, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
I don't play any Nintendo games online.
I mean, it feels very 1995.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, we've been going for a long time here. You think we're good to wrap this up?
I think so.
Okay. All right. So that's it. Episode 1, Collective Gamescast. We talked about all kinds of stuff. Metal Gear Solid 5. I think we talked about some terrorists. We talked Konami. We talked BioWare, we talked Nintendo, PlayStation, Xbox. We kind of got all over the place.
Pretty much.
That's pretty much what I expected would happen too. So, we're not on cue with the notes, but we're right on cue with what I thought would happen.
You know what's funny? I think the notes stopped after introductions. It's like, all right, so introductions, and then we just went off on huge tangents.
You said Metal Gear Solid 5, and it was over right there. As soon as those words came out of your mouth, everything was going away from the show notes.
Yep.
But we hit enough of the stuff.
Yeah.
And I thought it was a good conversation. That's the important part.
That's all that matters.
Okay, so that's us. That's Collective Gamescast. I'm the Malgadar. That's Chris. Say bye to everybody, Chris.
Goodbye, everybody.
Okay, we'll see you around.